How much do I charge as a copywriter? Pricing is a very tricky topic, especially as a beginner. And when you're on a sales call with a client, you need to have it dialed in. They will ask you the price, and you need to be very confident in what you say. So I'm going to speak on my experience and kind of how my pricing structure has evolved over time, because it's going to save you a lot of time and it's going to make pricing in the sales call much smoother if you watch this entire video. Definitely one I would recommend watching the entirety of. First method, or my first payment structure, as you can call it, was just a base payment of $250. Now, keyword there, just a base payment. I was paid $250 for 7 Twitter threads. Now, I found this client on Upwork. So once the job was completed, or the 7 Twitter threads were completed, I was paid out at the end of the month. The base payment was $250 again. Now, that's payment structure 1, base payment. The next structure that I then moved to was just a higher base payment. It was $2,000 a month. For most copywriters, I would recommend starting out your pricing at between $1,500 to $2,000 a month. Now, of course, if you don't have, I would say, 2 to 3 case studies or past clients, I would say just take any job you can get your hands on to get experience. Okay, and I really recommend, if you're watching this still, use Upwork. I have another channel, I have Twitter, I have Instagram, where I talk about exactly how to land your first client. Just steal my methods that I used for yourself. Of course, change them a bit, but that's how you can get your first 2 to 3 clients. Okay, and then you can move in to the $1,500 to $2,000 a month pricing structure. For most copywriters, you need to understand that a lot of these businesses honestly will print money off of your email no matter how good the copy is. And when I first started out, I was working with an e-commerce brand, and I didn't really understand how much revenue they were making from my emails. But for e-commerce businesses, it's very typical for some of them to operate at between 35 to 45% of total revenue coming from their email list. So these companies have an email list of over 100,000 people plus at minimum. And when you send an email, they will generate $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 at least per email. So to ask for something like $2,000 a month, I know when I started, I was scared to say my price, but don't be, because that is like pocket change for them. They make so much money from sending those emails. And the reality is as well, it's not a ton of work for you. It probably takes me, 2 to 3 hours to write a full week's worth of emails for copywriting clients, per client. So be firm with your pricing. I really recommend starting at $2,000 a month. Again, that's after 2 to 3 clients. That's what I'm doing currently, and I'm going to move into another payment structure or a couple different options if you're not comfortable asking for that amount of money, or maybe you don't feel you're good enough to charge that amount. There is another option, which is a setup fee as well as revenue share. So there's a couple different ways you can spin it, but one way is you get a setup fee, which really is just their commitment. It's usually around $200 to $500 to set up all their email systems, a couple different sequences for them, and then you get a revenue share of the results, or however much revenue you generate that company. I really like this payment structure because, of course, you get their commitment, but you also get monthly paychecks coming in for however much you sold for them, which is super, super nice. And it also incentivizes you to actually write the best copy possible. I think a payment structure where it's a base fee, as we talked about earlier, maybe it's like $1,500 to $2,000 a month plus a revenue share, is the most ideal. That is the best pricing structure, in my opinion, to have as a copywriter, because not only are you paid out monthly, but you get a percentage of every single sale that they make. That is what you want to be gunning for, but that is definitely something that more advanced copywriters will achieve, again, at later levels. And you need to have a couple of clients and a couple of really good case studies to be at that stage. But again, as I said, when you're working with an e-commerce client and they make $15,000, $20,000 on a Black Friday email, and you get 5% of that or 10% of 20,000, you're getting a very nice paycheck. So the last option, and this is really good for anybody beginning, maybe you sign them via cold, or you hop on a call with them via cold DMs. This is a very, very safe method or payment structure that I'd recommend anyone to use, which is pay on results or pay after results basis. For this, you will absolutely need a contract, and for the most part, every other payment structure you'll need a contract for, unless you find them on Upwork, because then they're signed through Upwork. But if you find them via cold DM, you can get them on a contract saying pay on results or pay after results. So what that means, to break that down, when you perform and when they get sales on your copywriting emails, you get a percentage of that. So it just strictly be a revenue share of whatever total earnings they make. So that is another really, really effective way to kind of, incentivize yourself, but also really help the business so that they don't have to put up any money up front. But please be careful with a pay on performance, as you need to track their MRR, and you also need to have a contract, but it's also not the best because there is no commitment on their end. They haven't put down any money. They kind of just expect these free, if you will, emails coming from you. And so sometimes that isn't the best mindset, if you will, to be putting your client in. You kind of want their commitment. And so having that upfront fee is key, and then having the pay on results basis. That's what I'd gun for my first client. But I also know that it can be kind of scary hopping on a call and asking for upfront fee and then pay on results fee. So those are a couple of the different pricing structures. Update on my client situation. So I was ghostwriting for a client. I was getting paid between $250 to $500 a week for one of them. And he just sent me a DM, actually, as I'm making this video, that he does not want to continue, which is great because it opens the door for creating a series that I've been really thinking about, which is obtaining my first copywriting client. I'm going to document the whole thing over on my YouTube channel, which you're watching right now. So I'd recommend subscribing, liking, so the algorithm will just shoot that video over to you. There will be a lot of value from it. I will show you the entire process. So I'd recommend, again, subscribing, following, get me in your algorithm. And then also check out the school, because there's tons and tons of outreach scripts, book summaries. I mean, just steal everything in there and get out, because it is so critical you have the right resources to be a good copywriter, or at least the best copywriter you can be. So I talked about pricing. I talked about the series and losing the client, which is totally fine. We're on good terms, and so I'll get a good review from that. Maybe I'll post how to approach reviews with clients. So that's a full rundown of kind of what I'm going through, and look forward to that series. Hopefully I'm aiming for next Monday. That would be the plan. So I'm going to start filming today and kind of getting everything lined up so that you can kind of see the behind the scenes stuff. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I have a couple Instagram videos to film. If you want to check them out, I'd recommend following me over on there. But really appreciate the support. You guys are always leaving super helpful comments. And of course, the comments you guys leave, I make the video of. I have a whole Google Doc of about 50 other videos. So I read your comments, I look at them, leave them below. Thanks for watching again. See you soon.